Alright kiddos, today we are going to be reviewing linear equations real quick. You should have these notes if they're in your notebook. Get your notebook out. If not, just get out the notes. You're going to need a pen or pencil. And if you have green and yellow highlighter or colored pencil or marker, go ahead and get those. If not, you can do this without them, but we would like you to have them. Okay, if you have not, go ahead and fold your notes in half. And if you don't have a title, let's go ahead and give it a title here. We're going to call it Brain Refresher on Linear Equations. If you already have a title, you don't need to give it one. But if you don't have one, Brain Refresher on Linear Equations. Go ahead and open it up. We're going to start over here on the left side. So right here we have the word slope. These are some different things for slope. So remember, slope is the letter M. We also call it our rate of change. It is rise over run. It is the change in y over the change in x. Remember that triangle is the change in. And then the last one is the actual formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember, you can pause and rewind at any point if you need to. If you have your highlighter, highlight the word slope in green. When we did this the first time, every time we used slope, we used the color green. Every time we did y-intercept, we used the color yellow. So if you want to highlight that word y-intercept in yellow. Now, our slope was M, our y-intercept is B. It is the beginning value, especially in a word problem. And then it looks like this, 0, some number. Okay, so let's look at this example down at the bottom. It says, what does it look like? So here's your equation. In this equation, I want you to highlight the slope. It is a negative 1/2. And then I want you to go ahead and label that slope. And then our y-intercept is this plus 5. Color it yellow and label it y-intercept. And if you don't have colors, please make sure you're labeling everything or using your pencil to complete this. So here's our equation. It has a negative 1/2 slope and has a y-intercept of 5. So let's look at the graph. If your graph does not have arrows, will you go ahead and add them on there for me? Our y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So we're going to look at the y-axis right here. This is where the line crosses. So go ahead and take your yellow and make a point there. That's your y-intercept. That happens to be 0.05. Okay? Then your slope is how does it go up or how does it go down. So we need to find some coordinate points. So there's a coordinate point here at 0.5. And then there's another one here at 2,4. We want to know how did we get from one point to another going left to right. We went down 1 and over 2. Then if you have another point, there's one right here at negative 4,7. And then there's another one at negative 2,6. We go down 1 over 2, which is the same slope that we have here. And you can do this over and over. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. And keep going. If you had a bigger graph, you could go further. Now let's look at the table. The table, the y-intercept is when x is 0, y is a number. So right here is your y-intercept. And then our slope is what does it increase by or what does it decrease by. So my y, or my x's, go from negative 2 to negative 1, so that's plus 1. Here is plus 1. 0 to 1 is plus 1, and 1 to 2 is plus 1. Then my y values, 6 to 5.5 is minus 0.5. 5.5 to 5 is minus 0.5. 5 to 4.5 is minus 1/2. 4.5 to 4 is minus 1/2. Well, we know that 0.5 and negative 1/2 is the same thing. So in order to calculate slope, it's change in y over change in x. So it's a negative 0.5 was what my y's changed by over my x's, which is a 1, or a negative 1/2 over 1, both of which simplify to negative 1/2. So that is how you find your slope from a table. Okay, so now that we've done a quick review, we're going to actually do two problems together. So if you go to the top of the next page, it says, given the equation y equals 3/4 x minus 2, using slope-intercept form, I want you to graph it. So let's first of all highlight our slope, which is right here in front of the x, the 3/4. And then my y-intercept is the number behind it, it's a negative 2. So I know that m is 3/4 and b is negative 2. So I'm going to start with negative 2. That's my beginning value. And that's really 0, negative 2. So that's this coordinate point right here. And then my slope is 3, which means I'm going to go up 3, right 4. So up 3, right 4 with a slope of 3/4. So up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put another coordinate point. And then if you have a ruler, you can use a ruler. If not, just kind of eyeball it. You're going to connect your 2 points with a straight line and then put arrows on the end. And again, here's your y-intercept. And then your slope was up 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's not much more space on the graph to put any more points, but 2 points will work for now. Okay, then the last one says, given the table below, write an equation in slope-intercept form. In order to write an equation, you always need your slope and your y-intercept. So if you look at the table, your y-intercept is on there. It's when x is 0. So 0, 12, which means my b value is 12. Now I need to find my slope. I need a constant slope, so I need to check for that. So if I start with my x's, negative 9 to negative 3 means I added 6. Negative 3 to 0 means I added 3. Some people think right now that this is not linear because the slope's not constant, but we have to check the x's and the y's. 0 to 6 is plus 6, and 6 to 15 is plus 9. Now if I go check my y's, negative 3 to 7 is plus 10. 7 to 12 is plus 5. 12 to 22 is plus 10. And 22 to 37 is plus 15. So we can do change in y over change in x. Start with the first one. My y's changed by 10, and my x is by 6, which simplifies to 5/3. So I want to compare that to the next one, which is 5 for my change in y and 3 for my change in x. So far so good. Then my next one was change in y is 10 and change in x is 6, so that's good. And then the last one is change in y is 15 and my change in x is 9, which happens to also simplify to 5/3. So my slope is 5/3. So I'm going to color this green and this yellow. Then in order to write my equation, remember slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So y equals 5/3 x, so m is my 5/3 plus 12. So this right here is my answer.